From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Tonight.
And good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here on Fox 59 Tonight. Thanks for finding the Smart TV app on your Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV. And thanks for watching us on YouTube. Remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, download the app. If you're watching on the app, subscribe to YouTube so you never miss a second of what we are talking about here with our in-depth conversations that we get to do only here on Fox 59 Tonight. Tonight, we will be talking about one of the cities here in the great county of Marion County. You probably guessed it by the title at the bottom of the screen and the video that's playing. The city of Lawrence had its State of the City for 2025. It is the mayor's second time getting to have a State of the City. Mayor Deb Whitfield laid out a number of things that she wants to see accomplished in the next year for the city of Lawrence, everything from adding additional police officers to making improvements to parks and to making her city healthier. To talk a little bit more about what her plans are, she joins us right now in the studio, Mayor of Lawrence, Madam Mayor Deb Whitfield. Good evening. Thank you for coming on.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on a first getting through the first year of being a mayor, and now your second state of the city. So first, let's talk about how was that first loop around?
It was amazing. Of course, it was a great opportunity to learn and understand the transition and transformation of becoming a mayor of a city that's 47% diverse. We're about 50,000 strong. And so it has been a very exciting year.
Um, this has been in that 1 year. You know, you still you've got quite a ways to go. But has this so far become what you thought it would be, what you hoped it'd be, when you were out there on the campaign trail?
Mhm.
Has it come to life for you?
I love it. I love being in the community, meeting everyone, greeting them, thanking them for their trust and support in me and their vote, and actually letting them know that my door is open. I'm here to listen and to make sure that I stay committed to the values of our city.
In your address, you laid out a number of things that you want to see accomplished, ways you want to make the city better. Your biggest, of course, is your health initiative. Tell us how you want people to stay in Lawrence and live in Lawrence and be healthy in Lawrence.
Live longer in Lawrence. This is our first opportunity to have a chief medical officer, Dr. John Kunzer from Community Health Network. And this is an opportunity for us to make sure that our residents in Lawrence understand how important it is to stay healthy. We want to make sure that we understand any chronic diseases that's in our city and our residents, from cardiovascular events to chronic diseases like how smoking can affect diabetes, things like that, that we want to make sure they have resources and tools available to them.
Indiana ranks rather low on our list of being a healthy state. We recently saw folks come from DC, RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz, how they want to join with the governor and make Indiana healthy again. Why is this something for you when you have that going on? You could say, hey, they've got it. I'm going to work on some other things as the mayor. Why was health for you something that you said, in addition to what everybody else is doing, and regardless of what they're doing, this is something that really needs to be done at the city level from the mayor's office?
Because I bring that perspective to the table. I've been in healthcare for 40 years. That was my primary occupation, my passion, giving back and taking care of patients. Am a registered respiratory therapist, and I worked at community hospital when we moved here for 28 years. And I was one of their first DEI practitioners, breaking barriers and getting out into the community to understand and help people understand about health screening, accessible availability to health screening and healthcare resources. So it's a passion of mine. And I think that when we understand that within 8 miles in my city, you can live longer and can add 8 years to your life is something very important for us to understand.
Um, you didn't mention this in your in your address, but just something that just caught my ear just listening to you. You said the words that aren't cool anymore, which is DEI. And while that's not something that certain levels of government at the White House think that is still important, I I am curious about um, your healthcare background probably says otherwise, that there are still a lot of people who look like you and I who are in certain communities that constantly get overlooked and don't have the resources. So while DEI, my point here is that while DEI uh, isn't the cool thing to say, and people are trying to get rid of it, whatever you call it, it has not um, the initiative, the need behind what these goals, these initiatives we're trying to accomplish is still there, right?
It is because we have to understand best practices has shown that when patients are taken care of and understand and speaking with healthcare providers that look like them,
Hmm.
their outcomes are better.
Hmm.
And that's understanding, let me just break it down real simple. That's understanding maybe some cultural aspects.
Hmm.
It's how we prepare our food.
Hmm.
What do we eat? Different things like that. Transportation, when we talk about social determinants of health, we're looking at housing, transportation, health access. So these are very important aspects to make sure that my residents in Lawrence live longer in Lawrence.
When I was listening to RFK Jr. and Governor Braun and um, Dr. Oz speak, they talked about how they don't want to see people being able to use their SNAP benefits to buy junk food. Okay, whatever. Um, but the reality is, and I said this on another show, over on the far east side, um, and I know this from years of living here and having done a number of stories,
Mhm.
I didn't see a Fresh Time or a farmer's market out there that's readily available for people to go make healthier choices. But I do know from listening to your state of the city that you are working on some things as a city collective to bring everybody together so that maybe you can move in the direction of having those kind of resources.
We do, we have to acknowledge and understand where we are and how can we meet the residents where they're at. And so we know and understand healthy eating is very important. And we all, whether you're here or in any other municipality, we do have, and we need to acknowledge, we do have some areas that have food deserts. So, what can we do? What can we break the barriers? What can we do to help our residents understand? So I understand that with the help of our new chief medical officer, there's going to be some learning and growth as the city looks at all of these social determinants of health, transportation. I'm excited about the purple line, transportation, housing. Housing is important. And of course, food, healthy eating.
One of the ways that I know you're going to first get a chance to see what the landscape is and see what is out there, so people can see what's out there, is you have a community wide, citywide health fair coming up, and I believe in just 2 days coming up over the weekend. Is this going to be an opportunity, one, for people to see what the resources are in Lawrence? But then I think it also probably will be an opportunity for people to see what we're missing and what people can, okay, I have this, let me contribute. Is that what we're aiming for here?
It is. It's the first citywide led health fair, April 27th, Sunday at Lawrence Community Park on Franklin Road from 12 to 4. We have about 38 vendors from all walks of healthcare. We're going to have some recreational opportunities so that we can learn how to move. We're going to have kickball. We're going to have a flag football clinic. The YMCA is going to do some classes for the older senior generation like me so that we understand moving is very important and what that looks like. And we have vendors that are going to have opportunities to show and talk about some health screenings opportunity. Your blood pressure can be checked. There's going to be various opportunities. So we're asking anyone and everyone, not only people that live in Lawrence, but it's free and it's open to the public.
Well, I was going to say, now, if I live on the other side of 46th Street, or is it 42nd Street, can I come? Because I'm an Indianapolis resident.
Come on down.
Okay. That event, I was able to pull that up. That is on the 27th from noon until 4. That's at the Lawrence Community Park. That's 5301 North Franklin Road. Again, free to everybody.
Yes.
Um, so, Mayor, once you start there, and you see people who come out, you're gonna. I'm assuming you already have a list of vendors. Obviously, you named some who are going to be there. But how can people say, "Hey, I wish I would have known about that. Maybe for the next one, I want to participate with my Zumba class or whatever it may be."
So we will make sure that we have an opportunity for you to sign up, leave some information for us, because it's not only the health fair, but we have other opportunities during the year. Like on starting in June to October is our farmers market, where we have locally grown opportunities that come to the farmers market. So we have vendors there, we have booth there. So we're open to any opportunity so that we can get this information and resources out to our residents.
So let's talk money now. Let's talk finances. We just ended the session at the State House ended yesterday.
Mm.
We know about some new bills that have been passed. Senate Bill 1 is going to cause cuts to governments of all types, shapes, and sizes across the state. And then you also have the news that the state had a $2.4 billion shortfall that came sooner than expected, thanks to this tariff trade war that we're having at the White House level. It's trickling all the way down to the local list of levels. With that said, as you said in your State of the City address, the city's finances are good. You had a good budget of $28 million for 2025, and you ended last year with just over $6 million in the bank. That's great. Um, but first, with all that other stuff aside, um, how does the mayor then say, "Okay, I want to. These are all the things that I want to accomplish, and I got my budget. Um, but there are shortfalls and there's cuts coming. These are things that are out of your control. And again, this stuff just came down the pipeline. What is a mayor to do? Whether you're the mayor of Lawrence, Beech Grove, Carmel, what the state has said in the past couple of days is not good news. Where does that leave you?"
Well, it's an opportunity. First of all, being a taxpayer, we want to make sure that we are fiscally responsible for the funds that we do have. I don't know at this particular moment, this time, what does that mean? We're in the process of probably moving up how we start looking at our 2026 budget and the process. Maybe working with some of our financial vendors to help us look at where we are fiscally. I want us to make sure that I don't want my residents to panic, because I want to assure them that whatever we do, we want to make sure we maintain our public safety, our response time, our EMS, our fire. We want to make sure that you understand that. It's going to be a little rough maybe in the beginning as we learn and go through this together. But I want to make sure that we stay fiscally sound, but we're going to probably have to make some hard decisions. What that looks like at this time, I don't know. But right now, like any other mayor, any other municipality, we are all looking at what that impact is going to do to us and how can we make sure that our taxpayers understand that we still need to run our government. We still need to make sure our streets are taken care of, our infrastructure. I talked about potholes,
Mhm.
snow removal. Those things are very important to us. We also got to make sure that we stay in contact with our school system and our public libraries. So it's not just a one fit all. We're going to all have to come to the table and try to work together.
I bring that up to set the precedent that you have your goals. You think you have things that you want to do as mayor, and you've done what you're supposed to do, which is balance your budget. You've got some left in the bank. Um, But you also want to do things like add to your police department. You want to increase how many officers you have, I believe up to 68. And you said you're just 3 short of reaching that number, which you said would be the adequate number that your city for your size would need officer-wise.
That is correct. Those last 3 are already in the 2025 budget.
Okay.
So I feel very confident as we continue down the list that we can make that goal happen.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually in another conversation with school officials who we were like, "Hey, okay, Senate Bill 1 just passed. What this means, we don't know." But you're actually the first person who has explained if it's in the budget already, we're good. It's really the what's to come is what we have to figure out,
Correct. Starting with our 2026 budget. Yes.
which is not something you start doing in 2026, but
We're
in
going to
2025.
Yes, we usually start around June,
Okay.
so we're probably going to start around next week. We're really going to pull everyone together, all my department heads, and ask them not only to start looking at where we are now, mid-year, but let's look and project and see where we're at and start looking at what we can do in 2026. So we're probably going to go ahead and start the process a little earlier than what we think.
68 officers is the goal. Uh, why would you want someone to? What would you say? There's lots of police departments in Marion County alone, and then surrounding your area. Why be a police officer in Lawrence?
Lawrence is 50,000 strong residents. And we know that one of our strongest opportunities is making sure that our streets are safe. So I want to address some things that maybe people are still questioning that has happened during the last couple of months.
Hmm.
Because of those incidents and occurrences and questions, I've worked with our police chief, and we now, within the next couple of weeks, sometime early summer, we'll have our first ever Lawrence led critical response team. And on this team, we're making sure that we have Lawrence residents that will sit on this and will help us and hold us accountable. And I think it's a great opportunity for those voices to be heard.
You brought up some things that have happened in the past couple of months in Lawrence that have gone viral online. Of course, there's the incident, and we have some video that we covered here, the incident at Walmart involving Roberto Santiago and William Armstrong that happened at the Walmart there in Lawrence. I remember covering this one on TV the day after the body camera footage was released, and the back and forth between uh, the officer and the citizen went viral. That citizen was released from jail, has not been charged, but um, at last check, I believe the officers in that case were placed on administrative leave. That would have been back in February. It's now late April. Is there an update that you can share on what would, at the time, we were told would be an internal investigation about the officer's conduct?
It's still an active investigation. And I think that's as long as we're following the process, I'm going to rely on the process and things to work out. I think that my police chief and the department is doing everything possible to make sure that we follow the process. And as soon as I know, I'm sure that we will make sure we have a statement release.
Is in this particular incident, I remember because I kept having to quote what the officer was saying, and wasn't quite he was not de-escalating the situation, and said that he would f the person up, and you basically you got the right person today without. I won't. I understand that there are things that you can't say in this particular incident and investigation, but when I had to quote that on TV that morning, um, my thought was, isn't the officer's job to de-escalate a situation? Is that an officer's job? Is that what you would expect of a Lawrence police officer, no matter what the situation?
I feel and expect the opportunity and the policies that our police chief and his staff have administered and have set forth. We have a 5-year plan, and I think everyone has gone through education and we're following the policies and the process.
Um, I know part of your merit board, if I'm using, am I using the term correctly?
We have a police merit
With
board.
with the police merit board, but with the board that the task force that you have coming forth is going to help look at some of these incidents. There are going to be people on that board who are from your office and appointed, but also people in the neighborhood to look at these incidents, including this incident where we've got video of that. This happened back in December, but the body camera video and security footage was all just released of a chase that happened December 30th involving 48-year-old Kenneth T. Roberts. Don't need to get into the specifics of this, but the reason this one went viral was because the officer was firing a weapon, and I know in other municipalities you cannot do that. It's against their policies. But my point where I'm going with this is that your board, um, this task force, and correct me what the terminology on it is, will look at situations like this and say, this is how we as a city and as a citizen want to proceed, right?
So, working with our police force and our chief, this Lawrence led critical response team, the initiative is to increase transparency during critical incidents and will include, like I said, representation from the 8 neighborhoods in Lawrence. These members will be trained and they will be hopefully uh, given the opportunity. But because this is still, both of these incidents still an active investigation, I will really like to make sure that I don't misspeak and I stay on course to make sure that I follow my police chief and the organization and let the process work itself out. But
Of
I can also let you know that I'm not I'm acknowledging that what happened is not what you would like to see or what the residents would like to see. But as mayor, I want to make sure and reassure everyone that I listened, I heard, and I want to make sure that the the chief of police will handle this properly. And I believe in him and I believe in the process.
and your critical response uh, task force was born out of these incidents because, um, of course, everybody. It's easy for all of us to be um, to quarterback and say this is what should have happened and what shouldn't, but uh, on your board, as you pointed out, you've got people who are going to be trained,
Yes,
and that way they know, hey, this is what Chief Bigsby expects of the officers. Did they follow protocol or not? So that it's not always a rush to judgment, because what the Lawrence PD may allow may not be what IMPD. There are things that people need to learn when they're making decisions and creating responses.
correct.
Is there um, with people understanding, having that understanding, what do you want them when they sit back and they watch these videos, what do you want them to accomplish? What's the goal of this task force?
The goal again is the transparency and the honest and the opportunity to make sure that we follow our policies. And I also want to make sure that everyone understands that I believe in my chief, I believe in my department, I believe in the process, and I want the process to work out. So I'm acknowledging that. I'm not running away from that, but we also have to make sure the process works. And the chief will handle and make all the right decisions according to that.
And of course, like you said, these are still under investigation. Everybody always wants a response and an answer and these things to be solved immediately, but there's a process, and that's what we will see more of when you have the critical response task force. We'll learn more about that process. Thank you to the city of Lawrence and the police department for putting out said video and having body cameras, because it gives that additional layer of transparency, and everybody can see exactly what happened when it happened. Um, but with that said, as you said, you're acknowledging what happened, but there's still a process ahead, right?
Yes.
Um, if people are interested in being on that task force, if they're hearing about it for the first time, being part of the critical response team, is there an application? Do they reach out to somebody? How does that work?
So at this particular time, the city of Lawrence, these are going to be residents from the city of Lawrence. The city of Lawrence had now, with the Common Council, broke up into 8 distinctive neighborhoods. And so we want to make sure that we cover and have people from our neighborhood, from our city, our residents available. If they have any questions, I would gladly ask them to give the police department a call, and that will give us an opportunity, if they are interested, for Chief Bixby to respond and see. We're going to start off with I don't know a number right now because again, this is something that we just are formalizing, and so we're growing and we're open, and we want to make sure that we have the right opportunity. So this can be a successful opportunity for the police and for the residents and for the city of Lawrence.
All right, Mayor, we're going to take a quick commercial break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the other things that you can do in Lawrence. We're going to go to the parks. We're going to hear about maybe some movies in the park, and also how the city is working to improve some infrastructure. Roads are being paved. Everybody wants to hear about that, a new road being paved, right? More details on all that coming up in just a moment. You're watching Fox 59 tonight on Fox 59 Now.